We're building a brand new subdivision, and here is the exact blueprint in doing so from start to finish. One of the biggest undertakings in real estate is ground up real estate development in land. And subdivision development can be either very profitable or very high risk and can make you go bankrupt, either one or the other. Knowing these steps will protect you from ever going bankrupt and will help increase your profitability if you understand how real estate development and raw land works when you're subdividing and building out a subdivision. Now, there are 3 breakaway points in land development, and every single breakaway point de-risks the project and decreases liability. If you don't know where those breakaway points are, your liability stance is very, very high and can put you in a very compromising position. So first, let's start by talking about these breakaway points, and let's explain how the subdivision looks. Now, one of the biggest things that's most advantageous when we're talking about ground and land, and we're talking about turning dirt into profitability, is understanding, one, what we're looking at in regards to risk versus reward, and how we tie up the acquisition and we decrease our risk variables by how we actually structure the entire development. So structure is very important. Now, let's go to the beginning. And I want to keep this very simple. This can go to any magnitude and any level you want. So for those of you guys that are very ambitious, you want to take down 40 acres, 60 acres, you're welcome to do so. But I'm going to talk to the average Joe today, and we're going to talk about small, 4-acre, 5-acre developments that are very simple, because I'm talking about de-risking projects. Now, we're going to talk about this from a small scale and then also an elevated scale where we're doing it on a bigger, higher risk basis. So when we go in, let's say that we take a simple piece of land that maybe is obscured a little bit, but almost perfectly rectangular, that kind of has maybe a little bit of an odd shape. Maybe we have a roadway that comes over here, and maybe we have a roadway that comes over here. And maybe these roadways have an intersect over here that they go on. Now, when we do this, ladies and gentlemen, we buy this parcel of land. Wherever our entry point is, maybe our entry point's right here. And so we can come in and we can do a simple cul-de-sac that kind of comes in over here. And let's say that we come in and we simply do a little cul-de-sac over here and a little road with a little jot right here, maybe a little T-turn right there. Maybe just a little tiny subdivision, okay? And now we're maximizing our land is what we're doing. That's what that little dog leg is right there. That way we have this open land, but we can also take advantage of these lots right back here, okay? Now these cul-de-sac lots are typically a lot bigger, okay? People get a lot more land for their money on these cul-de-sac lots, because then these ones land up coming in, and now we land up coming in and we land up doing these lots, something like this, okay? It's just a one road subdivision, very simple. And we come in and we have all these little lots, okay? And let's say that this is 6, 8, 5, 6, 7 acres, whatever it is. Now we come in and we have fire trucks that have to be able to turn around in here. So a fire truck can literally come like this. They can back up right here and T-turn and come right back out. Or they can come in here, they can come in through the cul-de-sac and they can come right back out this way, okay? So we have to think about fire trucks. So you always have to have enough room for a cul-de-sac. Now, when we go in and we do this, we know that we're gonna pull utilities up the road one time and then we're done. We're gonna have to put in some transformers and some water. This is where the risk variable comes into play. So we can get to our first breakaway point. For those of you guys that are just starting off in land development, sometimes it's not worth going in and putting in all the infrastructure. So when we go in and we develop land, it's as simple as coming in and doing a conceptual drawing. Now, this conceptual drawing has to turn into a finished, working, approved parcel that you can utilize from all branches of municipal approval. Fire marshal's office, public works, building and zoning, public safety, parks and recreation. Everything that's required in that single municipality is going to be what we need to go in for approval for. Once you go in and you go in for full municipal approval, you're not going to go in and pull utilities. All you're going to simply do is go in and simply subdivide land. And so you're going to need a survey company, and the survey company could potentially do 100% of this for you. Some survey companies won't do the entire conceptual layout, so you may have to hire an architect. If the survey company is not sophisticated enough, you may need an architect to help the survey company. Most times than not, something this simple, the survey company can perform 100% of it. When you have a less sophisticated survey company, you may need an architect as well. They're going to come in. These guys already know what the requirements are. They're the professionals that do this for a living. So they'll tell you how to maximize density and what your requirements are to maximize this density. For the fire marshal's office trumps over everybody. So the one thing that I want to tell you is that when you're taking this into consideration, fire hydrants are a big deal, and dealing with the fire marshal's office for those fire trucks and knowing what type of fire trucks they're going to service this subdivision are very important. Because if there's a fire hydrant out here and it has to service a house out here, they don't have enough distance to be able to put that fire out. And some of the trucks are not big enough and don't carry enough water to put an entire house out. And so you may have to put in fire hydrants at different locations to service this subdivision. Okay? And so you need to know that stuff in advance. That's going to come down to the overall cost and expense of the infrastructure, which is the second breakaway point. So if I was broke and I was just getting started and I wanted to make some money subdividing land, I'd simply go find a simple parcel of land that the municipality will support subdivisions and growth. And so if you follow the progressive growth of any municipality, they'll tell you where they're supporting dense growth. When you go in and you follow the support of the city's growth, it's easier to go in and subdivide land. You go into sub-rural areas that are following the growth pattern, you find agricultural land, you take this piece of agricultural land or infill land and you just simply subdivide it. And once it's subdivided and you get municipal approval on this stuff right here, now you have a finished, certified parcel that actually is approved to build on, provided you comply with all of the requirements: electric, transformers, fire hydrants, sidewalks, curbs and gutters, grading and drainage, and all the simple stuff that's going to get approved that you go through on this right here. Now, to get full approval, you're going to need what's called a grading and drainage plan. The G&D, the grading and drainage plan, is going to come from a civil engineer. Now, a simple subdivision like this, you're going to probably pay a survey company between $3,000 to $5,000 to help you do this. The grading and drainage will be charged by a civil engineer someplace in the neighborhood of about $5,000 to $7,000 to put a full grading and drainage plan together for the entire subdivision. And then you're going to end up going in and tying up the land. Now, between these, you're going to probably have about $1,000 in municipal fees for your application. This right here, if we pay maximum amount, that's $13,000, okay? Now, the land won't cost you any money provided you tie it up correctly. So when we go in and we tie up the land, you may go in and maybe put a $5,000 escrow money on the acreage. So if you put this in escrow, you control it, and you put the purchase agreement based on the terms of that escrow money with two contingencies. The first contingency is based on a quantity of density. It's a minimum approval of a quantity of density that makes this project pencil. If you can't make money and you can't get it to pencil, then it's not worth it. So let's say that 5 acres, you have to get 5 lots per acre. So 5 times 5 is 25. So if you have to get 25 lots, and let's say that your density minimum is 25, okay? So we're going to make a contingency based on municipal approval supporting 25 single-family pad sites for homes. So the density is 25 units. That's your first contingency, is the density that it takes to underwrite it. The second contingency is based on all municipal approvals, okay? So that means that you're going in, you're going to get 25 lots, but 25 lots not just subdivided, because if you get 25 unusable lots, you can still subdivide 25 lots. But if it's 25 lots that are unusable because you can't get utilities there or you can't get all municipal approvals, then they're worthless lots. So they have to be contingent on all municipal approvals, meaning the fire marshal's office has approved it, the progressive planner has approved it, the governing body and the board has approved it, and public works and all these other local internal pieces of your municipality, whatever those are, the water department, the power department, the fire marshal's office, public works, public safety, Department of Transportation, all municipal approvals. Everybody has to approve it, okay? Now, It sounds complicated, but it's not, because all these people go in, they have a roundhouse meeting, it gets distributed out to all these people, they stamp it, they come back with questions. Your architect and your engineer are the ones that answer 99% of these questions. Then it goes in for a public hearing. Once it goes in for a public hearing, the survey company is going to short plat all these lots. Now, if you land up getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 24 lots. Okay, so maybe it's 24 lots instead, right? So we go in. Now, if you take this and you land up with 26 lots, like maybe you're able to do a dedicated driveway right here and do an easement road right there, and now you get a lot right there. Maybe this lot's too big, and maybe you can get 2 of them out of this lot right here. I don't know. Okay, maybe this one's too big and get another lot right there. But maybe you land up with 28 lots. That just adds icing to the cake. And so you have to have a minimum density requirement and then try to go in and maximize your density with being in compliance with municipal approvals. Now, once you get this approval, ladies and gentlemen, this is your first breakaway point. You don't pull power, you don't pull water, you don't pull anything. You just get municipal approvals. And once you have all these municipal approvals, you have $5,000 in escrow. You control the land and you make those 2 contingencies dedicated towards the due diligence period and the closing. So now you go in, you ask for 60 days worth of due diligence and 60 days worth of closing time. That's 120 days, both contingent on full municipal approvals. So if it takes you 4 months, now you go in and you sell this off to a developer and you sell it at the first breakaway point. There are a ton of developers that'll buy this from you, not just big developers like D.R. Horton, Pulte, Lennar Homes, and some of these other big guys. These are sought after even by medium-sized developers, even people like me. In fact, 2 of my subdivisions, this is the way I built them. One guy had gotten brain cancer and couldn't perform anymore, didn't want to perform anymore. And so when he landed up with cancer, I landed up going in and I landed up buying the remainder of his subdivision and the next section of that subdivision. And I just went in and followed suit. I took over the entire subdivision, bought the entire subdivision out, used the same realtors, the same infrastructure, same HOA documents, same everything. And then I just facilitated it. And I went in and bought subdivisions just like this before. Then I've went in and I've developed subdivisions just like this before. And we used to sell off to a company called Opal Jenkins. Opal Jenkins was acquired by Kaufman and Broad. Kaufman and Broad is KB Homes. And so they were our biggest buyer, but we also sold to Toll Brothers and to Pulte. And so we would go in, we would develop the land, and the benefit to them is they don't have to take 4 to 6 months to go through this. They don't have to source the land. We've already sourced it. They don't have to subdivide the land and go through the municipal process. We've already done it for them. It's turnkey. The second they close, they can turn dirt the next day. So their process is building homes. Their stocks, because they're publicly traded companies, they want to make sure they're doing volume. That 4 to 6 months is absolutely priceless for them, because that increases their volume and their out-of-pocket outlay and their in-pocket profitability, increasing the overall revenue of the company, which shareholders love on the big companies. So you can go out, and at this first breakaway point, you could sell it for a profit. So if you went in and you bought this for $7,000 per parcel based on the density, and you sell it for $20,000 a parcel based on the fact that they still have to put in infrastructure, it's going to be worth $60,000 a parcel once it's done. They make money on the land, you make money on the land, and you de-risk the project at your very first breakaway point. Hence, now you can go to your second breakaway point if you're affluent. So you could come in, and once you're building houses, you may need the land, and you're sitting back struggling for lots. And so to your advantage, you go in, you can come and divide this, and let's say that you want to go in and you want to de-risk the project, but you want to take it to the second breakaway point. What I'll end up doing sometimes is I'll go in, I'll put in all the infrastructure, and I do a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 rule. And that 1/3 rule means that I can keep and retain 1/3 of the lots. So maybe I land up keeping this section of the subdivision, and maybe I keep part of this cul-de-sac back here, and I keep 1/3 of it. Okay, now the goal is to de-risk the project. So what we do is we sell off 1/3 of the subdivision to get enough capital to reimburse us for the infrastructure. And now we're $0 out of pocket, and the land is paid off. And if we sell off all the land in the second phase, not only is the infrastructure paid off, but the land gets paid off too. So 1/3 pays off the land, 1/3 pays off the infrastructure, and then 1/3 is free and clear. Okay, this is free land. You worked for it, but you use sweat equity, and now 1/3 is clear and free. So now you can go out, build out on these lots. You have free lots. You're making money on your land. You're making the finished upside profitability from the extent of what the land is really worth fully developed, and you go out, the land is free, there's no risk in the project, and now you can go out and you can build yourself some homes, which takes us to the third breakaway point where you build out the entire community. First breakaway point, you tie it up, you do a one-time close all at one time, and you sell it to somebody else, and you don't even land up buying the land. All you're in is the $5,000 in escrow that actually gets contributed to the purchase of the lot and $13,000. And now if you go in and if you sell each one of these lots at $20,000, let's say you paid $7,000 per lot for this land, 7 times 25, that's $175,000 you pay for this land. And let's say you go out and you sell it for $20,000 a lot, $20,000 per lot times 25, that's $500,000. It costs you $13,000. That $5,000 gets contributed to this, so it's no loss of money. $13,000, you take $500,000 minus $13,000 minus the $175, and if it takes you 4 to 6 months to do it, that's an extra $312,000 in your pocket by simply entitling property and taking it to the first breakaway point. That's not a bad 6 months worth of income to simply go in, buy a piece of land, not even buy a piece of land, secure a piece of land, subdivide it, and go in and profit from your land. Okay, you take it to the second breakaway point. Let's say that you go in and let's say it takes you to go put the infrastructure in. Let's say it takes you $500,000 and you're in $500,000, but now the lots are each worth $65,000. Now you take $65,000 times 25, and that's $1,625,000. You take a subtraction of $675,000 minus $675 minus the $13,000. You're at about $940,000 in profitability, guys. $940,000 in profitability going to the second breakaway point. Now, if you do that, ladies and gentlemen, you go in, you de-risk your project, and you profit from it. And you can go in, you can go to the third breakaway point where you own your land for free, you make profits on it, you take that $950,000, you pay this off, you pay the infrastructure off, you take some upside profitability, it pays for the infrastructure to pay for all this, your land is free, and now you go in and you continue profiting from buying land, building houses, subdividing it, and now you have a de-risk project with 1/3 of it all paid off, infrastructure in, and now you can go out and take the next 2 years, building 4 or 5 homes a year, making $200,000 to $300,000 per home, buying land and building houses in your own subdivision, and you have $1 million of upside after the land and infrastructure is all paid off. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you go out and you turn land into doors, and that's how you de-risk your project and you make dirt turn into dollars. For more content just like this in the ground-up construction game, real estate development and construction, click and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us some love by simply pounding that thumbs up button. Comment down below on what content you want to see next. I'm going to recommend some ground-up construction videos at the end of this video. And until next time, go out and compound your success.